I've got a story for you today that is genuinely terrifying. We're going to break down a first-hand account of a haunting that starts somewhere pretty normal, a quiet library, late at night. But stick with me because it ends with a local legend that will completely change the way you think about a bump in the night.
Seriously, think about it for a second. That feeling of being all alone. The dark is just pressing in on you and every little noise sounds like it's right behind you. That exact feeling, that's the heart of this story. It all starts with a student just trying to study and a walk home that turns into an absolute nightmare.
All right, so our story kicks off in a place a lot of us know all too well, a school library, smack in the middle of final exams. You know the vibe. The pressure's on, the clock is ticking, and all you're trying to do is cram one more chapter into your brain. Now, to help everyone out, the school decided to keep the library open late, all the way until midnight. Super helpful, right? Well, yeah, but it's also the exact reason our student finds themselves pretty much alone late at night in this huge, empty building.
By 10 p.m., the whole atmosphere has shifted. You know, that low hum of people studying has just faded away. It's been replaced by this really unnerving, deep silence. Our student is so deep in the zone, they don't even notice how late it's gotten, or that they are completely and utterly alone.
And this is where things start to get weird. Out of that total silence, a sound slices through the air that just doesn't belong. It's not normal footsteps. It's a very specific, rhythmic, dragging sound. A limp. And it sounds close. This is the first sign that something is very, very wrong. So as you can imagine, our student is totally freaked out and decides, yep, it's time to go. They start packing up, heading for the exit, but that creepy feeling just doesn't shake. And this is where the story goes from just a strange sound to a full-blown, terrifying sight.
So picture this. You're walking down a long, dimly lit school hallway, and way at the other end, barely visible in the shadows, there's a figure. A woman, just standing there, motionless. Yeah, my heart would be pounding out of my chest too.
So the student, trying to sound braver than they feel, calls out. It's one of those questions that's half challenge, half pure terror, right? Just a desperate attempt to make this make sense. The response they get, though, it's not what you'd expect.
Poof, just like that, she vanishes into thin air. For a split second, there's this wave of relief. Okay, maybe I just imagined that. Maybe I'm just tired. The student doesn't wait around to find out. They bolt for the front doors, just desperate to get outside and get home.
But here's the thing about a feeling like that. It doesn't just stop at the school gate. The moment they step outside, that sense of dread, of being watched, it just gets worse. The nightmare has followed them right out into the open.
Now, this student knows this street. Normally, it's buzzing with life, even this late. But tonight, it's completely dead. Not a single car, not a single person. The silence is just unnatural, and it makes the fear feel 1,000 times worse.
As they're walking, head down, trying to get home as fast as possible, this long shadow just falls over them. But there's nothing there to cast it. And when they look up, yep, she's back. The same woman from the hallway. And this time, she's right there in front of them.
And now, being this close, they freeze. Because her appearance is just awful. Her clothes are ragged and dirty. Her hands and feet look twisted. Her hair is a total mess, and she moves with that same slow, painful limp from the library. Every single detail is just screaming that this is not normal.
The student is just paralyzed. You know that feeling, caught between the absolute need to run and just being physically unable to move a muscle? And in that terrifying, dead silence, the woman finally speaks.
Just let that sink in. On a dark, empty street, from this horrifying figure, that is the question she asks. It's so weirdly specific, so full of this raw, desperate energy that it's somehow 1,000,000 times scarier than any threat could ever be.
At this point, the student's brain just short circuits. They're not thinking, they're just reacting. Pure panic. They just point, randomly, down the dark street, anywhere, just to get this woman to move away from them. Their only thought is, I need to get away, now. The second the woman turns and starts to limp away, the spell is broken. The student doesn't even hesitate. They just turn and run, sprinting in the opposite direction, fueled by pure adrenaline. At this point, home isn't even the goal. The goal is just find another person. Any sign of life, anything to feel safe.
And then comes the final, most horrifying part. From way down the street, from the darkness where the woman went, a scream rips through the night.
But it's not a scream of pain. It sounds almost like a scream of discovery. The words are clear. She is here. And after that, nothing. The student's memory goes blank until they wake up, somehow, safe in their own home.
So what on earth just happened? A hallucination? Some kind of terrifying prank? Well, this is where the story takes a turn, because later, a neighbor hears the story and provides the one piece of context that makes everything fall into place.
It turns out this mysterious figure has a name, Agatha, and according to the local legend, she was a mother whose young daughter went to that very same school, Eden Hill.
The story goes that back in 1998, Agatha's 10-year-old daughter died in a tragic accident right there on the school grounds. They say Agatha's grief was so immense, so powerful, that her spirit couldn't move on. It became trapped, and she's been wandering the school and the streets around it ever since, looking for the child she lost.
And as soon as you hear that, every single terrifying detail just clicks into place. The limp wasn't just random. It's part of her ghostly injury or sorrow. The tattered clothes, a sign of her endless wandering. And that chilling question, have you seen my child? It wasn't a threat. It was a real, heartbreaking plea from a mother who can't find her daughter.
And that right there is the whole point. Once you know the backstory, the entire encounter transforms. It stops being a story about a random, scary monster, and it becomes the story of a grieving mother, stuck in this endless, tragic loop. The fear is still real, absolutely, but now it's mixed with this profound sadness.
And that leaves us with one final, haunting thought to chew on. The student pointed away, just trying to escape. But what if they had known the story of Agatha? What if her ghost was really just looking for her daughter? And what on earth would have happened if the answer to her question had been yes?